Good morning, everybody, and welcome to script writing for second year students here at Cardiff Metropolitan University. As usual, you can see I'm in a little bit of a rush to get to my lecture. It's going to be a virtual lecture today, so it's unlikely that anybody's going to be here because, as you can see, there isn't a great deal going on here at Cardiff Met. Nonetheless, the room is waiting for us, and we're going to be talking today about probably the thing that everybody's been waiting to hear about, the auteur in script writing, and in movie making, and in TV and online and anywhere else where a script is used in order to create an interesting story. Perhaps you could say the interesting story today is where is everybody? We're just going to go through the coffee bar here. Hello there. Full of students all waiting to come to the script writing lecture, which will be going on down here. I'll have a cappuccino in a minute. Cheers. Oh, just get through the door. There we go. Through the corridor. Famous D block corridor, where once one of the most interesting lecturers here at Cardiff met. This is the room, D17. This is where I used to have my office. Anyway, that's beside the point. Walking past Firefly Press here, another important part of Cardiff Met. Moving on to the room, if we can get there in time, where, as usual, all the students are waiting. Good morning, everybody. Behind me on the screen, you can see British filmmaker Joanna Hogg. She comes originally from a TV background, and once we go into the Moodle document, I'll point to various interviews and so forth where Joanna talks about how her practice changed, essentially, from being somebody who was supplying the needs of an industry to someone who was attempting to push the boundaries of what could be said in, say, for example, a 90-minute feature. And we'll be looking in particular at one of her films. Just for those people who weren't here over the last week or even the week before, up here on Moodle, there are three little sections that I wanted to show you, if I can. We began building a script 3 weeks ago, and last week we had a pitching workshop. So for those people who are thinking, am I missing much by not being here today and next week? Well, the answer is no. In fact, all of the information, like in all of the other sessions that we've done to do with script writing, is available on Moodle, and you can access it and watch it, watch clips, read information, follow the leads that you get from that quite easily. The only workshop where you really, really needed to be here, interacting with other people, happened last week, when we were open. So if you weren't there then, I don't think it's going to be would have been possible to go back and put together our pitching workshop, which for those of you who weren't there consisted only of talking about scripts, your scripts, practicing pitching them, and then delivering finally a pitch to everybody there in the room. And I hope learning something not just about the practice of persuading people about ideas, also about focusing your mind as a scriptwriter on the nature of the project that you're trying to develop. In this little section here about auteurs, theories, and unexplained deaths, think the unthinkable, say the unsayable, and do the impossible, I'm trying to introduce us all to the idea that we can break out of lots of the constraints that we've been looking at during the beginning of this course. That script writing isn't only a matter of trying to think creatively within the box of deadlines, of the length of programs, of the nature of markets, of media and genre and so forth. There is, and always has been, a place for the individual who wants to look at things from their point of view only. You might think here this is rather a lot of reading material to suggest that you read in one little session. This is because we haven't actually dealt with the theory of the auteur, the questions concerning the ability of any individual to actually transgress the kind of the creative industrial system made by the media that we work into. And there are all sorts of different aspects to this, which we've touched upon. The way that existing technology and new technology drives change. How does the individual writer or auteur sit in that context? Are they driven by technologists, or do they drive the technologists? I suspect that the answer, as always, is something of a mixture between the two. And I think that as a place to ground your reading, this piece by Virginia Wexham is excellent, definitely worth reading. The nature of author theory, auteur theory, and ideas about who or what an auteur may be are all very interesting and potentially could be something upon which you base your critical reflection. But do bear in mind where we started. And where we started in this course was with William Haggar in 1904 making a silent movie in Pembroke Dock, using technology that was absolutely brand new, and some people argue creating the first ever narrative film. So all of this stuff about what an auteur is and how the writer fits into the technological and marketing niches that are created for this has always been there, particularly in the realm of film and TV, where technology like cameras and so forth create this boundary, this invisible boundary, if you like, this movable fourth wall between, or this psychological fourth wall between the recipient and the giver of stories. Lower down on the page, you can see that I've concentrated on bringing up some interviews and references to Joanna Hogg. And a film that I think is particularly interesting is a film that she made a little while ago now, in 2011, called Archipelago. Archipelago is a kind of exploration of a British bourgeois hell. Obviously, it's about a holiday. A family goes on holiday to the Scilly Isles, and in so doing, we follow them and we enter this rather painful psychological examination, which is funny. It's a comedy, and it's a very gentle, dark British comedy about the middle classes being entombed within their inability to break out of the sarcophagus that they've created for themselves. And this is represented by the family voluntarily isolating themselves in the Scilly Isles. Now, I think that oddly today, because we're all voluntarily isolating ourselves, this film is strangely apposite and relevant. I think that Joanna Hogg's background, transitioning from mainstream media production into these perhaps whimsical is a funny word. I think that it's often used in a pejorative sense, and I often think, no, whimsical, as far as I'm concerned, is extremely interesting and causes one to re-watch and reread, and is often associated in my mind with a technique that Joanna Hogg uses a lot, which is not providing the audience with so many answers that a situation ceases to be interesting. I've put some other links up here. Here's Tarantino. Mark Kermode is here too. I recommend that you basically, like in all other aspects of this course, really go through this with a fine tooth comb and try and use it as something of a springboard into your own reason. I return finally to the point that these PDF files that I've put in there containing content from relevant texts are very important, particularly for those of you who want to explore the possibilities of acting like an author or an auteur in an industry that is can be rather corporate. This little piece here, Cinema in Search of Its Authors, might be a good place to start. But for the time being, thank you very much for attending. And I'll be back again next week when we look at the work of another British auteur, somebody who's won both an Academy Award and a Turner Prize for being effective, if you like, possibly in two rather different contexts. That's Steve McQueen. For the meantime, you can get in touch with me by email whenever you want, and I'll be available on the telephone during the hours that these sessions would normally happen on. So that's on a Tuesday from 9 till 11 and on a Wednesday from 10 till 12. Thank you very much for not attending.